Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I just say something about CIC, because just now that David talked about, I represent CIC. I'm an executive director of CIC. So CIC is a construction industry council. It's a statutory body in Hong Kong, funded by levy, and with the objective of improve the performance of the whole construction industry through various means. So today I'm going to talk about just now Mr. Lam has already given you a lot of figures and all current situation about the NEC applications. So I'm going to just have a short sharing on some practical experience that we have encountered in the implementation of NEC in Hong Kong. Now first, CIC has been cooperated with, together with ICE on some NEC training for local practitioners. So since 2015, so it's the 5th year into our partnership with ICEs. Again, it shows long-lasting relationship can be built on mutual trust and collaborations. And so far, we have trained more than 450 practitioners, frontline practitioners. They are all project managers, sometimes a frontline, that means resident engineer, that they would like to equip this knowledge and try to implement the NEC contract in their projects. And just 2 months ago, the CIC organized the first construction industry forums, so that to give an opportunity for industry stakeholders to speak frankly about their feeling for NEC in Hong Kong. And more than 150 people attend the conference. They're from clients, contractors, and consultants. So we make use of this opportunity to share the experience of this NEC. And I would like to highlight one particular experience, one topic they're talking about. For instance, is about whether there's allowable to have a pre-bidding for the main contractor to select their own subcontractors. It's a very, sensitive issue, because some of the contractors, they face a lot of difficulty if, under the NEC environment, after contract award, they have to have to select a subcontractor in the open market. They worry about whether they will select, under this system, the subcontractor, got the lowest price, maybe the highest combined score to win the subcontract. Is this really the one that they want? Because the subcontractor really need to have a very good working relationship with the main contractors. So this kind of requirement, do you have any ways to change it or to make it more flexible? For instance, if a main contractor for the specialized work, there's only one subcontractor who is capable to do that kind of subcontracting. But under the system, maybe the client would like to ask the main contractor to have an open market bidding, to invite more subcontractors to bid for the subcontract. But is this really what the main contractor wants? So again, this is the point that I think there should be a trust between the client and the main contractors to select the most, the suitable subcontractor to do the work for the main contractor. Maybe, the expert can devise a lot of means to see whether they can suit the both needs. The main contractor would like to select the one that can work with them, but the client would like to make sure that the subcontractor price is, the best price they can get. See what we can do, after gaining more experience. Now, in the forum, after the forum, we have done the survey to gauge what is the penetration of NEC in Hong Kong industry. And we're glad to say that, about 65% they are now currently involved in NEC projects. And the one most important point I would like to share is that 17% from the repair and maintenance sector, they have shown interest. They would like to use NEC work. It is much higher than our expectations. At least, all in all, the industry, to me, is very much moving in the right directions. Now, it's fair to say that Hong Kong, is really growing up in the use of NEC. And some time ago, as Mr. Lam said, starting 10 years ago, we started using NEC. But I would say that we're just in a baby. So we still a lot of things for us to learn. But when we grow up into young adults, we all start to have our own opinion about things. That's why we've been listening to what our industry would like to say. Now, during our forum, we set out to hear what was holding back the NEC, and the number one issue the industry is still trust, mutual trust, the mindset. NEC is supposed to help building mutual trust, and the reality is what we need to embrace the collaboration spirit first, is to really reap the benefit of NEC. Our industry expressed that even when they are working on NEC projects, they still approach it like traditional form. Why? So the question is how we gain the trust. And we are looking at the process and think, is this something that is just unique to Hong Kong? No, I think it's not. So there's some scenario we'd like to try to figure out what should be the right solution. Schedule of cost components and valuation of target cost contract based on the schedule of cost component, and it complies of person involved, the cost that we need to employ people, the equipment, the plant and material, etc. And on the employment component, and some of the item in particular, we're hearing maybe it's a bit too loose. For instance, I mean, in some experience in Hong Kong, I mean, when they're talking about this compensation event valuations, the client facing the problem is that the contractor say that we need to employ this group of my employee, and my employee need to take first-class flight back to the home during holidays. When they're sick, they need to have a private room treatment in the hospital, etc., etc. So is it too luxurious? And also, I mean, this kind of thing, there's always an argument. The contractors say that we really need to have this kind of, employment condition in order to attract right people to work for us. But from the client perspective, is this too luxurious? Is it necessary for the contractors to spend such money on this kind of thing? But in the compensation event open book system, I mean, all this will go into the cost of the works. And then after cost, then the plus the fee. But so this is always a argument, a conflict between the client and the contractor in this aspect. How we can deal with that? At the end of the day, my view is that it's still a trust between the parties and the reasonableness. I mean, the contractor need to exercise their diligence and try to exercise, reasonable attitude in the build-up of the cost. And the client, in some certain extent, need to be flexible and looking into the particular circumstances to see whether there is a genuine need for the contractor to spend such a cost. This is the case I'd like to show it to them, that some contractor would like to ask for Rolls Royce for the use, and then become a part of the cost of the work. 5-star hotel, and then first-class flight ticket back to the home country for some expatriate contractor working in Hong Kong. Right. So change in construction is not uncommon. Can be very frequent and substantial. Sometimes in building with one compensation event, there will be another further development that end up with compensation for compensation event. So target cost, option C and D, is normally associated with NEC. And the information we collect from the forum was that in Hong Kong nowadays is about 40% is option A and B, and then another 60% is for option C and D. Although the target cost is still more prevalent, but there's definitely quite a number of price contract lump sum in use. And we also use a lot of subcontracting. And as you see, that there will be complicated problem if you use subcontracting. I mean, in particular, the target cost, the price contract A and B. Now, dealing with the compensation event assessment, for the target cost assessment of compensation event is relatively easy. Basically, the contractors get paid what he was paid to the subcontractor plus the fee. So all the accounting is done openly, simple and straightforward. But in price the contract, those are option A and B. The compensation event is to be assessed in the same way, but this is where the problem can start to happen. Now, in the NEC contract for for option A and B, I understand that in the NEC, spirit, suppose when we evaluate the compensation event, the project manager and the client, they do not need to make reference to the priced item in the contract. So, I mean, they have to, make an assessment, maybe discuss, negotiate with the contractor for those, compensation event costs without reference to the price item. But that could be a complication in here, because without reference, then the project manager and the client may have a different view to what is expected from the contractors. So again, in this, and also disallow the cost is not counted in this kind of option A and B contract for compensation event. So it complicates the issues. So we have to think about that without this kind of a reference to the priced item in the contract, how could the project manager and the contractor reach a compromise? In the pricing for those compensation events. Now this slide, this is a little word here. I'm not supposed for you to read, but it's just to tell you that in Hong Kong, Development Bureau, Mr. Lam has already issued a lot of good guidelines notes for the industry in Hong Kong to follow. In particular, for this kind of evaluation for the compensation event in target A and B contract. So in Hong Kong, we adopt the attitude is that the project manager can make reference to the price item in the priced contract for the evaluation of the compensation event. Well, you may say that this is not what exactly want under the NEC UK, but we find that this is quite a the operational means for the parties really at least have some reference to the price item for reaching the final agreement on the compensation event evaluations. Now let's move on. Looking about the future of NEC application in Hong Kong. So during our discussion forum and also reaching out with the industry, we find that there's really a lot of opportunity for application of NEC. Now we have a lot of hospital projects, university, project, etc. They also interest in knowing about NEC. Again, another big market in Hong Kong I see is the aged building. For those aged building, when I reach out and talk with the client, after they knowing about the spirit of NEC, how the open book system works, and how to less adversarial between the parties, they also keen interest in using NEC. But of course, then there's a good opportunity for us to provide more training for those people in Hong Kong. So there's a good business between CIC and ICE in this kind of aspect. Of course, because for NEC, really, the client need to deploy quite a lot of their staff to manage the projects. So again, this is another area, perhaps the consultant business can be there. The client, if they can employ too big size of staff to working for them for the project implementation, they need to employ consultants. So that's the end of my presentation. I really hope that, wish you all have a good conference today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.